This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WXCO Daily News Roundup for Bull Falls Radio, 98.9 FM and 1230 AM in Wausau.
For WXCO News, I'm Brittany Merlot. The two outbreaks of bird flu in the state are likely not related to the large giveaway of chickens in October. Melissa Kay has the story.
After the Iowa-based poultry company Pure Prairie Poultry abandoned farms in Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin, that left contracted farms with thousands of birds and no way to feed them. Farmers had no choice but to give them away. State veterinarian Dr. Darlene Kunkel.
We don't see any connection there. That was an incident that happened a couple of months ago. Avian influenza is a very quickly moving disease in poultry. So these birds, these latest two cases, probably got exposed very shortly prior to exhibiting clinical signs within hours or days. So we don't see a connection there with that other incident with the poultry company.
It's possible that one person has contracted H5N1 after contact with the infected flock in Barron County. DHS is monitoring farm workers and says it's safe to eat poultry products that have been fully cooked.
People can have their own struggles this time of year, missing a loved one, or broken relationships, or just being physically apart from the people they care about. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, 64% of people with depression report that the holidays just make them feel even worse. Psychiatrist Dr. Ibram Seblabin says sadness is one of the most universal human emotions, and it should be embraced.
The worst thing somebody can do is really try to suppress feeling human, really suppress feeling lonely, feeling sad, feeling a sense of loss. It's very easy to say, oh, I need to get my mind off of so-and-so who passed away, but that's not the healthy way forward.
If you or someone you know is struggling with a mental health crisis, help is available 24/7. Just call or text 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You'll be connected with someone for free and confidential support. The festive occasions can be difficult. Melissa Kay has more.
A clinical therapist with Aspirus Health, Janet Wimmer, says grief can feel heavy this time of year.
Grief is especially big around the holidays, especially if it's the first holiday after the loss of a loved one.
There are support groups and bereavement group options in the area, and there are a variety of hotlines that you can call to talk through your grief. Wimmer said it's also important to reach out to family and friends.
Don't be afraid to mention your lost loved one, to bring up their memories. Those are often well shared during the holidays.
This is also a good time of year to emphasize self-care.
For those who just find themselves really stressed, take a step back, slow down all of the things that you're running at doing, and take time to breathe deeply and take a few moments for yourself.
While the holidays can be stressful, adjusting your expectations, focusing on self-care, and reaching out to others can help you experience a more enjoyable and fulfilling holiday season.
And ice is unpredictable, which is why we say no ice is safe ice. Owner of Bayside Ice and Marine Recovery says yesterday's snow only acts to insulate and warm the ice, weakening it.
Into next week, close to Christmas, we're going to have some 40-degree days. We might not lose much ice this time of year, but we're not going to gain ice either. And you get a little bit of sun on a 40-degree day, the thickness will be there, but the ice will start to bend. It'll get to a weakened state.
He said even the most experienced of outdoor enthusiasts should always let someone know where they're going. Take a buddy fishing and always have a charged cell phone to call for help. Be sure to check ice thickness every few feet, and remember that you need at least 4 inches to walk out on. Several geese are dead in Marshfield from an unknown cause. The Department of Natural Resources is trying to figure out what happened. And the geese do not belong to the nearby Wildwood Zoo. They're purely wild. The Parks and Recreation Department was first made aware of the situation on December 8th. Staff confirmed the discovery the following day and notified both Animal Control and the DNR. The DNR has since collected samples from the dead geese to investigate the cause, though no results have been returned yet. So as of now, the cause remains unclear and authorities are continuing to monitor the situation. And if you're venturing out on the ice this weekend, it's very unpredictable on larger bodies of water. Over the past couple of weeks, there have been several instances of people and vehicles falling through the ice in several different northern Wisconsin locations.
It's unpredictable out there. Never know what you're going to come across. You could have 2 feet in one place, and 100 feet away, you could have open water. It's always changing.
Tom Jozwecki owns Bayside Ice and Marine Recovery. He said if you're going out on the ice, you should always have a charged cell phone and a whistle or some sort of noisemaker to help rescuers find you. And remember, at least 6 inches of constant ice is needed for snowmobiles or ATVs to drive over. And for cars, 10 inches is best. And Wausau snowplows now have a new icebreaker on them. It's a big steel drum with a bunch of ice spikes. Then there's a plow unit behind it that's all attached to the front end loader. City of Wausau Public Works says it'll break up the snow and ice, and then the plow scrapes it off the roads. Not only does it improve the lives of those behind the wheel, but it helps the city as a whole, as it's supposed to remove ice without damaging the equipment. Before, the grader would beat up the machines. Minnesota DOT has been using this for years on their highways, with tandem trucks going along the lanes. So if this goes well for us here in central Wisconsin, the department will be looking into getting more. Central Wisconsin was spared from the snowstorm, with the heaviest totals sliding south, hitting areas like La Crosse, Tomah, and Horicon, with over 1/2 foot of snow. Meanwhile, here, roads were still slippery and snow-covered. The Wausau area is reporting 3 inches of accumulations, while just to the west of us in Medford, they piled up nearly 5 inches. Snow continues today along the Great Lakes towns from lake effect. Meanwhile, temperatures are crashing cold tonight and into the weekend, all ahead of a major warm-up next week. So how does Wisconsin stack up as a place to retire? Lisa Hale has the answer.
U.S. News & World Report released its list for the 150 best places to retire in the United States. Green Bay tops the list of Wisconsin cities, coming in at 11th in the nation, up from 16th last year. Other Wisconsin cities that made the grade are Madison at 37th and Milwaukee at 123rd, down from 64th last year. The organization looked at the happiness of local residents, housing affordability, tax rates, and healthcare quality.
The entire list can be viewed at the U.S. News & World Report website. And 'tis the season to hear sounds of bells ringing outside of your favorite stores across the area. From dropping cash into the Red Kettle to app donations. Every penny that goes into that bucket goes back to those in need. But the Salvation Army says they still need more people to volunteer to ring the bells before Christmas Eve. You only need to give up an hour or so of your time. Visit registertoring.com. And he's made his list and he's checked it twice. Santa is packing his bags and ready to fly in the sky next week, delivering gifts to all the good kids. And the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, tracks the big man himself as he flies across the globe. You can follow jolly old St. Nick's progress on Christmas Eve at www.noradsanta.org. I'm Brittany Merlot for WXCO.
The Bucks in Cleveland. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. After winning the NBA Cup, the Milwaukee Bucks are on the road tonight against the team with the best record in the Eastern Conference, the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Bucks are 14-11 after the break. The Cavaliers in first place at 23-4. 3 former Bucks players named nominees to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Marcus Johnson, Terry Cummings, and John McLaughlin, and Coach Doc Rivers also named a nominee. College basketball, the Badgers go back to work this weekend at the Kohl Center. They will host a Horizon League team, the Detroit Mercy Titans, at 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon. NFL, Packers practicing in the snow. There's a chance for some flurries Monday night when they host the Saints. Running back Josh Jacobs says he likes games in the snow.
I like the game just because, cold games, snow games, because defenders don't really want to hit. It kind of make them make decisions. You got to kind of make a business decision at times, and it's easier for me because I'm going to make you have to make that decision.
That's Packers running back Josh Jacobs with Sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. In People Who Are Always Looking for Something to Lose Their Mind Over news, an interview with Denzel Washington and a reporter for Collider went viral when Washington was asked what his favorite Stanley Kubrick movie was. The Gladiator 2 star says he doesn't have one and that he wasn't really a movie buff, then added he was in the streets looking to rob people who came out of Kubrick films. I'm guessing that's changed since he's a 2-time Oscar winner. There have been 47 seasons of Survivor, if you can believe that. Season 47 just crowned a winner this past Wednesday night. Rachel Lamont is the most recent champ after fellow Survivor castmates cast their votes, so Lamont takes home the $1 million grand prize, which has been the take-home pay since season 1. You would think in 47 seasons they would have added at least a cost of living increase. Can you imagine not even having contact info for your parents? That's how Trinity Rodman is rolling these days, saying her father, Dennis Rodman, is only her dad by blood. Trinity, who is a professional soccer player for the Washington Spirit, appeared on the Call Her Daddy podcast and said her father's hard partying lifestyle as an NBA player was not conducive to him being a good parent. I believe that's true, but he did make a beautiful bride. FX's series The Old Man has 2 seasons in the books, and that is all, folks. The show about an ex-CIA operative played by Jeff Bridges performed well in its first season and received 2 Emmy nominations. Season 2 received 3 Critics' Choice nominations, but that did not stop FX from pulling the plug. Despite this, it's a pretty good show if you want to check it out. Jim Carrey was serious about retiring from acting until he wasn't. The actor told the Associated Press that he was going to retire, but bought a lot of stuff and needed money. Desperation is not a very good negotiating tactic, so I'm guessing that is why Carrey probably walked back his comments to comicbook.com, saying he was joking. You can catch Carrey in Sonic Hedgehog 3 in theaters December 20th. In Where Are They Now news, one of the lovable thugs in Home Alone was played by Daniel Stern. You might remember him as the guy who had maybe the greatest scream in movie history when Macaulay Culkin put the huge spider on his chest. Stern posted a video on Blue Sky showing what he is doing now, tangerine farming. He gave his followers a tour of his studio and fruit squeezing apparatuses. It was actually really cool. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
It is going to be chilly today, but it's not going to be as windy. Mostly sunny. We'll get to the mid to upper teens this afternoon. The wind will be northwest at 5 to 10. Tonight, down into the lower single digits. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, 19. We're back in the mid to upper 20s by Sunday. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 17.
That's your WXCO Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at bullfallsradio.com. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.